There we go. Hey, students. I hope you guys are doing as well as you possibly can. I'm very excited to talk with a dear friend today who is, I don't know, I adore you, Noah Winston. I adore you. So this is my friend, Noah Winston.
Hi, everybody.
So, Noah, in the world of theater, what would you call your main job title?
In the world of theater, I'm mainly an actor. That's kind of what my focus has been for some time, really since high school. And I went to Butler University. I started off at University of Indianapolis, but then transferred to Butler. Um, and that's where I graduated, got my bachelor's. But I focus on acting, but like most colleges, um, they just kind of have me doing everything. So that includes like learning how to do sound, learning how to do set construction, which if you go to Butler at all, you have to put in certain hours, like a job of set construction work. So that way, when you do that, by your end of your senior year, you can graduate. Like that's how important it was. Like if you don't do them, you don't graduate. And that's just a terrible waste of time after 4 years. But my main job, I
To
am actually an
clarify,
actor.
the
Oh,
set
sorry. Yeah.
construction's not a waste of time. The not graduating is a waste of time.
Yeah, not graduating because you didn't do sex construction. That's just silly. Um, my main job today is that I work at the Children's Museum of Indianapolis as an actor there. I mainly do a lot of their kids show performances. But a part of my job is not just acting on stage, but also I help do set construction. Sometimes they do events like big dinners, or sometimes we have like guys who sing children songs that come there and things like that. So I can help with the light board and set up the sound equipment, um, things like that.
Mhm.
So what's nice about my job is that it not only utilizes my acting, but also other stuff too, like set construction and sound and lights.
Mhm.
So if you are in a school where I still think this is a common thing, where there were the actors and then there were the techies. Yeah, after high school, forget about that. I'm serious, forget about that. Nowhere else is that going to matter, because if you're in entertainment, if you're in theater, in this case, you're better off just learning everything. And who doesn't want to learn how to do lights and learn how to do soundboards and stuff? That just means like you're the dude that can like really set up awesome parties or something like that. Or if it's set construction, I can't tell you how awesome that is that I can fix things around the house because I do stuff like that. They're useful skills no matter where you go. That's pretty much what I'm saying.
That's fantastic. Where'd you grow up, Noah?
Here in Indianapolis, Indiana,
Mhm.
and I graduated from Warren Central High School.
Mhm.
And like I said, I went to University of Indianapolis and then Butler University and just took off from there.
What was the very first show you did?
Ever?
Mhm.
The first show, gosh, this is like, I gotta go way back when the dinosaurs were still around. My first, and I did a lot of sports in high school, and I try to ease my way into doing theater and stuff. I started doing theater when I was really a sophomore in high school, and the first show I did, uh, I was just a radio singer. Me and my brother, we were both actors. He's an actor in Chicago today, and I ended up was just a simple radio singer for the high school dance in Greece. So I just sang the song in that, and that was all I did. Otherwise, I mainly did show choir. But that was the first show I've done, and I just kind of kept going on after that. I took drama classes too, but that was my first show.
Mhm. So your brother's working up in Chicago. You have more siblings. Tell me about all three of the three Winston family.
Um, well, me and my siblings, my brother and my sister, we all jumped into theater at the same time. My mom was like, I think you'd be great in drama. And we were all like, well, let's give it a shot. And we started doing it, and we were having a good time with it. It was fun. It was a it was a good chance for us to be creative, to broaden our horizon in theater in general. And and me and my brother specifically, we were both in like choir, so we knew how to sing and stuff. So obviously, getting all that choir experience, getting all that theater experience, just means we get to do musicals. But my brother today, he works up in Chicago. He's done work at the Goodman Theater, Lyric Opera. He's also done a lot of work at the Mercury Theater, all great gigs to be part of in Chicago. And my sister kind of gets around. She does a lot of theater in different theater, or lots of acting in different theaters around the Midwest. She was going to do Miss Trunchbull, who's if you ever watched the movie Matilda or read the book Matilda, she was going to be Miss Trunchbull, and she was like working out, getting ready for it and everything. And then the zombie plague happened, which is
Where
what
was
we're
she
all
gonna
going
do
through today.
Matilda?
Oh man, it's I can't think of the name of the theater right off the top of my head. It's a children's theater in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh, now
Um,
I'm like extra sad because like to see Joe do Miss Trunchbull would have been
yeah,
just magical. She would have
she
been
was excited about it. She got casted for that back in November. Yeah, and
oh,
so she was really looking forward to it.
uh-huh.
But whatever, life.
Life. Oh God. Like I
Yeah,
think like one
life.
of the things I love about Joe is she's so like gender fluid. Like her drag
Hmm.
king makeup is so good. It's so good.
She's probably out of the three of us, she's probably the most talented and most well-rounded because she could have gone into like designing, um in terms of like or makeup, art. She could have done any of those things, but she wanted to focus on being an actor. But
Yeah.
she still utilized those other skills that she has to make herself a good viable and a good flexible actor.
Mhm.
Like she's played male characters multiple times, and it's because she knows how to pull it off visually, and whether it's on stage or a contract gig, she knows how to utilize those makeup and artistic skills to be able to make herself very gender fluid. And that's kind of where and I think she found a lot of strength in that, not just for herself, but for her acting as well.
Mhm. So at the Children's Museum, I had the pleasure of seeing you in the Jungle Book. Like that was
Ooh.
awesome. Tell me about that because I knew that was an intense one for you, wasn't it?
It's still today probably the hardest show I've ever done at the Children's Museum.
Mhm.
As I said, I did a lot of sports. So one of my biggest strengths is that I'm a very physical actor in that, like if it's a big puppet, if it's something really heavy, if I need to lift like people, or whatever, or do something very strenuous, I can do that. I pride myself in that. That's part of what makes me such a good actor. In this show, there was a lot of puppetry involved. We had to do a lot of on-stage drumming, which thankfully I learned at Butler how to do hand drum, and and there was a lot of movement going around. I literally sweat buckets every day. Like I literally had to drink a gallon of water. I got a gallon of water for each day of the week because I sweat so much
Um,
that I was basically a dried up raisin by the time I was done with every show,
uh-huh.
and I had to do that twice a day. Um, but I was Shere Khan in that show, and that show was a lot of fun. I did my own spin. It was like a little bit of the cartoon, Disney cartoon one, but I also did a little bit of Idris Elba,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
because that was the Jungle Book that came out I think less than a year before we did that show,
Mhm.
and so I want to do something a little bit more recognizable and
Yeah.
really appropriate for the show itself. But
Mhm.
that was a very tough show, and the Ka, the big snake, we had a huge snake puppet, and we had to like really squat walk everywhere we go with it.
Uh-huh.
And the lady who did the mouth, like her shoulder muscles must be jacked by the time that show was done because she was like doing really big mouth movement
Uh-huh.
stuff. And
Uh-huh.
then we had a fight scene with Mowgli in the end. It was a cool show. It was
There's
just
a lot of like
exhausting, but
ropes, like
it was rewarding.
swinging on ropes too and climbing different levels of
We
this.
were, yes. We did a lot of rope swinging. We had like a rope, like hammock type thing that we swung on. I had to climb up ropes. I had to like swing down on ropes and things like that. We did what we call rope call. So if you have a fight in the show, you have to do a fight call before the show. That's just a legal thing. And that's just to help get it into our body and no one gets hurt.
Mhm.
But rope call was like we had to like just swing on the ropes, doing what we normally do. Like one of us was like climbing all the way up on the rope to where it was hung, way up in the scaffold area, and I did a lot of swinging down. But we had to do a lot of rope training type stuff just to kind of get our muscles stronger for it, because not all of us climb ropes every day, unless you're like an elementary school kid.
I remember when I saw it, because we had talked about the snake being this huge puppet, and I'm looking at like the entrances and exits. I'm like, where the hell is this snake puppet coming from? And then it descended from the ceiling, and like I like audibly gasped. I was like, oh! It was just,
Yeah.
it was real cool.
And it was this is again where because in the Lilly Theater, just FYI for everybody, we don't have a backstage crew.
Uh-huh.
We are the crew.
Uh-huh.
And so if there's like big changes or stuff like that, either one of us or all of us, we have to figure out a way to make these big changes happen, which oftentimes involves a set crew. But again, we don't have one.
Uh-huh.
We have a light and sound person, and that's all we get. So for the snake, we had to, as we're singing, and we had to go to different areas. There's like ropes that go up to the scaffold, and we had to untie those ropes all at the same time, and we all kind of eased the big giant snake down. And then once it was down, we had to run down to it, unhook the snake, and then tie the rope in another place that we were like, okay, we'll tie the rope here. And then we all had to get underneath it, and then do our snake movement stuff. It was like a NASCAR pit crew type thing. We had to really rehearse and work and try to figure out how to make this awesome, crazy, huge effect happens, because we want it to work, because it makes our show cool. It makes us look cool. So yeah, work hard and everything will be cool. Literally.
And then you help with the set construction and this setup.
Mm-hmm. So what we do for that is pretty much right before the show that we're working on ends. Many people think that a theater production starts with auditions and rehearsals and the show. There's a lot of stuff that happens before that, where like our artistic director, set designer, costume designer, stage manager, they all get together and have meetings, and music director, choreographer, they all have meetings to try to figure out, okay, we're gonna do the show. Here's the costume design. Do you like it? Do you not like it? What do you want to change? Then we have a scenic design. Here's what the set looks like, blah, blah, blah. And then we go from there. And that's like probably a month before we even get to auditions, and then to the show. Sometimes at the Children's Museum, I should say many times, we hire contract actors. So I'm what we call a resident actor. If you ever go to IRT or even the Phoenix Theater, any repertory theater, they will have their actors. They will have little actors they have per show that live within that city. And then they will have auditions, in this case, video auditions, whatever, from different actors who they audition, and if they make the show, they get contracted into the show, and I work with them. So when we figure all that out, I look at the set design. My boss, who's also our head tech guy and head stage construction guy, he pretty much says, okay, here's what we do. Noah, you do this. You cut like a bunch of lumber and then put it together. We'll make flats and things. Then we'll put legs on them, put it up. And then once we get all done with that, we like work on paintings and things like that. And so the point is, at the Children's Museum, we have as much of the set done as possible before we even start rehearsing. That's like the dream for most theaters, because then that way it is, because as most actors know, when you're starting a new show, the set's not even done yet, or you have to rehearse in a different location or whatever until the set's done. And you have to like write in your scripts and try to imagine like, okay, I stand on this platform here, and then I go that way. I need to remember that this is going to be a lot more challenging when the actual set's coming up. So we don't have to do that. We don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. I can tell you, because I interned at the IRT years ago. they oftentimes rehearse in a different location, and then if it's a main set show, like it's in the main theater area, they're working on that, and then by the time we get to tech and things or close to it, then we work on that set. So it's a big adjustment thing, which is not uncommon for most actors, but thankfully I don't have to worry about that in my job.
Can you describe what the setup of the theater is? Because I don't know if a lot of my students have been there.
It's a strange setup. It's not a traditional theater. It used to be, if you can imagine a college lecture hall. The theater is a bit of like a half oval shape, and then we build stuff back there, and then the audience kind of curves around us. It's not like gosh, I can't think of the phrase right now. It's not like a straight stage,
Not
and
like
you
the
just see the audience.
kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah. It's nothing like that at all. It's not. Again, it's not. It used to be a lecture hall that they have, meetings and things like that. But then the museum was like, years ago, let's turn this into a theater, and so they did. But they didn't really change the theater design. So
it feels
we
almost
oftentimes
a little bit like a little Greek.
a little bit Greek.
Little.
It's like a half a cup. It's like half a Coliseum if you think about it. Yeah, it literally is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that big oval, and you just cut it in half, and that's pretty much what we are. So the challenge is, for that, it's not like a black box theater where you can just turn around and no matter where you look or no matter where you go, there's audience, right? So the audience, if you can imagine, here's my, I'm gonna do a little setup here. So this is the stage. Think of it this way. My phone here. And the audience is around here on these sides. So if I'm just an actor here and there's several actors, we want to make sure that all the audience gets as much of the action as they can, see as much as they can. So this is a struggle for a director and choreographer as well, where they have to figure out how can we set all the actors up, and not just blocking, but choreography wise, and everyone sees everything as much as they can. I mean, if you sit in these areas, you're going to miss out. But it's challenging because this is not an ideal setup if you're going to make sure that everyone sees everything. So that's the struggle that we oftentimes deal with. I kind of like it because then it helps me as an actor be on my feet and be ready to adjust to, okay, if I stand here, these people can't see me. So if I could just turn my body a certain way or whatever, they can see more of the action, not just me standing in front of them, probably not doing anything.
It helps you be aware of the audience, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and that matters, believe it or not, as an actor. I mean, you want to be seen as an actor by as many people as possible, and sometimes it's up to the actor to figure out how to do that. The director will do only so much to help you, but in the end, it really is up to, hey, how about I stand over here so that way these folks over here can see me and the rest of the people as well? Because sometimes there are times where a director will have me standing in a certain spot, and the next thing I know, these people behind me can only see my butt because I'm facing everyone else, and they only see my back, and they can't see around me, which blows if you're like, I came here to see the show, and all I see is this guy's butt. This is terrible.
I quit as an audience.
I quit. Let's get out of here. I quit.
So you do a lot with the Children's Museum as a resident actor there. I also had the pleasure of seeing you in Hamlet. I'm not sure if my students read Hamlet. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm sure, don't high schools read Hamlet?
When I was in high school,
I read Hamlet.
Back in I read Hamlet. That was kind of
as old as you are. Whatever.
That was, but that's like like if you take theater and you're learning Shakespeare, that's like a go-to for a lot of theater drama teachers, especially if they're trying to learn Shakespeare and things. And if you take English classes, Hamlet's a good pick. And it's a very straightforward play for the most part. It's like, oh no. And I always tell people, if you've never seen Hamlet, just watch Lion King. The parallel is insane.
Uh-huh.
It's just like, oh no, I'm a prince. I'm born in privilege. My uncle doesn't like my dad because my dad's the king. My uncle killed my dad and tried to be like whatever about it. I'm the king now, and I don't know what to do. I gotta avenge my dad, but he's my uncle, and people might not like that. I must scheme. You know, it's that kind of thing.
Right.
Except Simba ran away, and then he decided. Then he saw the ghost of his dad, and it was like, oh, it all makes sense now. So then he goes off and attempts to overthrow his father.
Well,
Pretty
and
much the same story.
the only reason he ran away is because he was physically incapable of fighting his
Yeah, he
uncle.
was a kid. You know, Hamlet's like,
Grow up.
I'm in my whatever 20s, and I'm just crazy, and I'm just upset. But then Hamlet sees his ghost, like Simba saw the ghost of his dad, and
Uh-huh.
it's just the endings, the start and the ending's the same. You
Uh-huh.
know, it's just the in between stuff is like makes it different. Hamlet schemes and ends up killing Polonius, who's like the top right hand man of the king. And Simba just runs off and makes friends with these freeloader guys, and all they do is sing Hakuna Matata and eat bugs all day. You know,
What?
similarities.
So who did you play in Hamlet?
I played Laertes. Laertes, man, it's really hard to describe Shakespeare characters without like a full synopsis.
Right.
Laertes is the son of Polonius. Polonius is the guy that Hamlet accidentally kills, and my character was way off in France, partying, doing whatever he was doing, and then fighting a war or whatever. And then he hears that his father has been killed, and no one's really talking about it. And so my character comes back and is like talking to the king and was like, why'd you kill my dad? And the dad's like, I didn't, dude. Sorry about it. And we don't mean to keep it a secret, but he's like kind of in a weird place with all this because Hamlet kind of did it. And I'm like, Hamlet did it? That jerk. And so I like joined the king in scheming against Hamlet, excuse me. And then at the end, we orchestrated this big sword fight, and I have a poisoned sword, and Hamlet and Laertes fight at the end, and then everyone ends up dying because the poison sword gets handed around like hotcakes, apparently, the poison basically, and everyone pretty much dies at the end. Sad story. But for the show, I had to do an actual choreographed sword fight with a good friend of mine who Katie also knows, Brian, and we did a very awesome sword fight, and we knew the fight choreographer as well. So it made for a pretty super dope sword fight at the end. And we try to make it as cool as possible.
Was Eric the fight choreographer for this one?
Yeah, Eric Bryant. Yeah.
Which he was also playing the king.
He was playing the king. He was asked to do that. The director asked if Eric could do both the things, and Eric was delighted to do that. And he was very happy to work with me and Brian because I I've done several shows where I had to do stage combat, whether it's like pole fighting, fist fighting, or sword fighting. And I'm always trying to learn more about stage fighting because it's actually kind of cool, and it's a unique skill to have as an actor, especially in these parts.
It's super cool. And you and Brian and I had all done lightsaber classes, which I think is super cool.
Yeah.
Would that be like a broadsword? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Broadsword, a great sword, which is one of those like nearly 40-inch swords. So as Katie was saying, I'm also an instructor for the Indie Lightsaber Academy. So basically what it is that everyone loves, well, not everyone, but a lot of people love Star Wars. And the thing they love most about it are the lightsaber fights. So we take that hype and say, hey, because there's different, if you ever look online at lightsabers, there's the style that Kylo Ren has with the cross guard. There are ones like Count Dooku, which is more like rapier, fancy type saber fighting, and then there's the normal stuff, and then there's pull staff stuff like that, like what Darth Maul uses. There's different styles, just like there's different styles of weapons in real life. So we took the lightsaber hype and we said, if you want to learn how to fight in these different styles, we can teach you that. And so not only are you fighting with lightsabers, but you're actually learning, in a sense, how to do actual sword fighting combat. So what's interesting about me is, and these are two different things, to learn actual combat in sword fighting, where your main focus is to hit the person. And it's just like if you take karate, jujitsu, taekwondo, this is a martial art, where stage combat is more about flair, I guess you can say, where we do all these big unnecessary sword fights, to not only show that we're fighting, but also for audience to be entertained by. Which is, in a way, what Star Wars does when they do lightsaber combat in the movies, where people like to compare lightsaber fighting to sword fighting, and it couldn't be more different because that stuff's choreographed. They rehearsed. If you can look online, you see Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor. They practiced constantly till it was like breathing to them to do the sword fighting combat, where they know exactly what the other person's doing, and they can probably figure that out in their sleep. And so their fighting is very, very smooth and crisp, and just looks gorgeous, but it's so intense that you think they're actually fighting, where most people don't want to be stabbed, and so they try to be cautious and be very calculating in fighting. So that's the difference. But stage combat's fun because it's just fun to just pretend like you're fighting on stage. It's just invigorating in its own way.
Super cool. I asked if you could think of a unique or specific word for, this is our special word of the day, everybody. Big hand motion, special word. Do you think of a word? This was like an hour ago that I told you this.
I know, and I forgot all about it. Of course I did. Like just any special word, basically.
What? I'm sorry, you cut out.
Oh, it's like any special word? It's like Inside Actor Studio where what's his? Yeah, it was like he's like, "What's your favorite word?" or whatever, or favorite curse word.
James Lipton. Yeah.
James Lipton. Yeah, who sadly died recently. A word of the day. What's a good word of the day? I just like the word Excelsior.
Ooh, Excelsior.
Like, yeah, kind of like Stan Lee. Excelsior. It's just a weirdly intense word that's just fun to say.
That's delightful. Excelsior. So my last question for you, Noah. If you had $1 million and we were not in quarantine with the plague, and you could do anything you wanted with $1 million, what would you do with it?
Oh, man. And it's funny that you say if we weren't in quarantine. I'm like, well, if we were in quarantine, I would like try to find a deserted island and try to like live there until it all blows over.
Oh my God, right.
What would I do with $1 million? I mean, I feel like a good chunk of that money would go to some sort of charity because I'm a very giving person. Especially when that's so much money I don't even know what to do with.
Right.
I mean, I could try, but I'll probably not spend it all.
Do you have a specific charity that you are drawn to?
Excuse me. I think at this like any cause, like helping people find a home, more food, would definitely be something I would think of, or maybe like for like children without families, like specifically parents, things like that, like foster homes, things like that, or orphanage. I mean, things like that. I would like to probably donate more of my money to.
What would you do for silly fun then? Silly fun now.
Oh, silly fun. I don't know. I'm a big nerd, in case anyone hasn't figured that out by now. I love going to conventions. You know what I would do also? I would like to travel with. If I had that much money, I would just do a lot of traveling. So much, because when you're an actor, your time is often not your own. It's
Yeah.
usually everyone else's. And
Right.
so, because it's like, I got to go to rehearsal, or like sometimes, like before the zombie plague, before COVID-19 happened and we were all in quarantine, um, uh, I was literally rehearsing a show during the day and a show in the evening, and for rehearsal. So I was literally going from one rehearsal to the next, both very active shows, and I'm always like just doing something for a show.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would definitely like to travel, probably to Europe, Japan, Hawaii. I would love to go to Australia, things like that. So I would certainly, for fun money, I would certainly
Fun.
travel.
That's awesome. Very cool. Well, you had actually already covered the how some of these skills apply to your other. Is your dog easily available, or is
Yeah, Shadow. I have to call him. He's probably taking a nap somewhere.
oh yeah, he's probably
Uh,
taking a nap.
Shadow, come here. Shadow. Give him a sec. He's like confused. Shadow, come here, bud. No, not you. Shadow, come in. Come on.
I love it.
Come here, buddy. Come here. I know you're like, what is
What
going
is
on?
happening? He's already all
Come
confused why
here.
you're home all the time.
Yeah. Actually, he loves it because, as I said, I've been rehearsing twice a day, every day, and I wasn't around him enough. Don't be
No.
shy. He's a very shy guy.
No.
Come
Look at
here.
those
Why are you so
eyes.
shy? Why are you so shy? Why are you so shy? Why are you so shy?
He's like someone in this family has to be shy.
Yeah,
Oh, he's
that's my
so
dog.
pretty.
And just so everyone knows, I had Huskies before Huskies became cool. Hashtag Game of Thrones.
What was that
You probably want to
hashtag,
go
Noah?
outside. Oh, hashtag Game of Thrones.
Hashtag
I've had Huskies before they were cool. By the way, if anyone ever wants a Husky, I will promise you this. Huskies are very destructive,
Yeah,
and they're sweet dogs, but they're little, when they're puppies, like they will tear up anything and everything in sight. So you have to keep an eye on them all the
like a small child.
time. Oh, this is our other dog that we just adopted. His name is Mick, after Mick Jagger.
No, is
He's a
that
little guy.
that
He's a shepherd mix, right?
Wait, Australian.
Okay, a miniature, basically a miniature Australian shepherd. He's teeny tiny.
you got two high energy, well, high maintenance dogs.
Yeah, I'm used to Huskies. That little guy, he's something else.
Little Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. I love seeing your dogs. Thank you for your time, Noah. I really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
you're welcome. I hope I was entertaining enough.
You
'Cause I
entertain
remember,
me.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's a given. Because I'm serious. Whenever an actor, when I was at Butler and the University of Indianapolis, we would have actors come and visit us, and I get it. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, this guy's just talking about himself so much. But I try to incorporate things. I'm like, well, what would most people like to think about? And that's when, like, hey, any skill you learn in theater is a skill worth having. Is a skill worth knowing.
That's all right. Thank you, Noah. I appreciate you.